Fremont. Shout out to my people out there in Cali. Fremont sees 2 homicides in one day, and the neighborhood is upset about it. Take a look.
Fremont police detectives are searching for suspects wanted in 2 separate deadly shootings over the weekend.
Officials say that they've never had 2 homicides in one day, which they say is awfully concerning. Our South Bay reporter Jesse Gary live now for us at
That's
police
an old school
there
man. Hold on.
Much more on.
That's an old school player right there. That man right there, with his natural hairline, makeup on, sweating outside, no mustache, no beard. He is more than likely, he came from Pam Grier's era. Like, he came from an old school line of players. That man, and he ain't got no, you know how you got the buttons on your collars? That's how I got it on most of my shirts. That's an old school player right there. Shout out to the old school players. Probably couldn't hoop back in his day. Got the finger roll like Dr. J. I'm with it, big dog.
This and other recent acts of violence in the city of Fremont. Jesse.
Heather, Mike, good evening to you. Fremont police say they do not believe the crimes Saturday are connected. The 2 people, the 2 incidents are not connected, and that the trigger people have not been caught. And they are not from this city. This as the grieving for the victims has begun. Monday, a growing sidewalk memorial sits near the intersection of Nichols Avenue and Barnes Lane. Fremont police say a teenager was gunned down near this spot early Saturday afternoon.
All violent crime is concerning to us, always. And so anytime there is a violent crime occurring, it's always a concern, and we're always going to dedicate every single resource we have available to ensure that those folks that are responsible for that violent crime are arrested.
Neighbors say they saw the victim as he walked towards his parked car. Seconds later, a vehicle pulled up, 3 people got out and opened fire. Their target was hit multiple times and died at the scene. The shooters escaped. Later the same night, a woman was shot and killed near Lake Arrowhead Avenue and Alvarado Road.
Both homicides are unrelated to one another. We believe, based on the preliminary investigation, that the suspects in both of the homicides are not from our community.
These killings, part of a string of high-profile cases involving the loss of life in recent weeks. July 12th, 3-year-old Ellie Lorenzo was reported missing from her father's Fremont apartment.
Ellie's mother was notified that Ellie's father was found deceased from apparent suicide in the city of San Francisco.
Investigators say Jared Lorenzo jumped from the top of a Tenderloin building, killing himself.
I heard a loud bang. We heard a bunch of horns beeping.
The next day, Ellie's body was found at a San Jose recycling plant.
Ellie was the most sweet, warm, loving child. She was one of these kids that would just walk into the room and everyone would light up.
In June, a dispute over a backpack led to the shooting death of 41-year-old contract security guard Abakar Amin. He was pronounced dead at the scene at a CVS pharmacy at Maury Avenue and Fremont Boulevard. Detectives say the suspect was stabbed and hospitalized, and that there's no further update in the case. Fremont has 4 homicides so far this year, slightly ahead of last year's total at the same point in time. Police officials say despite 2 murders in one day, there has not been a spike in crime.
Having 2 in one day is highly unusual. It is not the norm. So it's at this point, it's an anomaly, the fact that there were 2 in one day.
I don't be believing that people be just killing themselves and jumping off of a building. Whenever people be telling me like, oh man, it's a daughter that was still involved and he just jumped off a building, I just don't by default be believing that. I don't. But I think that it's demonic spirits in the air that is leading to some of the things that we see happening in the news. And when you start seeing a spike in something, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Don't think that it's not going to start to hit your neighborhood or it's not going to spread out into the spaces that you live in. Take it very, very serious. And whenever I hear a kid dying, or somebody getting hit up or being set up, that just hurts my heart personally. It really does. It really bothers me. But postal workers, I was keeping you guys informed of what's happening with postal workers because it's something that's important to me, because I don't think that people that are just doing their jobs, and even when you were in the hood, like back in the day, when you was in the hood, we was cool. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the postal, because you need your checks. People need their checks. People wasn't robbing a postal worker, man. They wasn't even going in people's mailboxes. It was almost like crime has always been in existence, and murderers and killers and the dealers and all of these people has always been in existence. But it was just certain things that you just didn't do or you just didn't touch that was untouchable. You never bothered the lady that was the old lady on the street. She didn't get robbed. She didn't get hurt. Postal workers, they didn't get bothered. crackheads, they live forever because, hey, man, just let them have a pass, man. Don't be bothering him. And so people, even when they committed crimes and stuff, they didn't do it against certain people. Certain people in the community got a pass. And now over in Illinois, specifically in Chicago, more than ever, you got postal workers getting killed in broad daylight, robbed. $250,000, $150,000 bounties on people's head in order to turn these people in. It's crazy. If you just go in and you doing your job, there's no reason why you should be getting robbed and killed in broad daylight. But another liberal city going down.
Postal workers in Chicago are demanding more protection after a letter carrier was killed on the South Side last week.
And WGN's Andrea Medina has more from their Union Hall where they rallied today.
USPS letter carriers are voicing concerns about the rising dangers of their jobs stemming from violent attacks. This has prompted union leaders to push for enhanced safety measures.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Hundreds of United States postal workers and labor allies rallied Monday morning outside the National Association of Letter Carriers Branch 11 Union Hall on the South Side. They came together to express their frustration over the uptick of assaults they face on the job. The head of the union pointed out expressed her frustration.
Let me show y'all something. You know, one of the reasons why y'all getting robbed and stuff like this is because they see y'all as vulnerable. If you look in this crowd, and do not take it lightly, listen to what I'm saying. If you look in this crowd, just on this camera shot alone, I see two men total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I see at least 12 women. 2 men, 12 women in the crowd, working the jobs, doing the things that usually was reserved for the strongest of us, or walking through certain neighborhoods, dogs, having to carry mace, can't carry a gun, none of that. I see almost all women in that crowd. Ain't that crazy? Almost all women is in that crowd. That's insane. Even the spokesperson is a woman.
Over the uptick of assaults they face on the job. The head of the union pointed out a rise since August of 2022.
Now we have 140, over 140, and now we have a fatality. And that is just not right, you all. Justice for Octavia!
All
there
women.
Were loud chants and tears shed in remembrance.
That ain't nothing but women right there. That's all women. I see all women, a couple men, mostly all women that's doing these jobs. Y'all hungry, y'all tired, you hungry and big at the same time. That's a heavy combination. That's a deadly combination.
Justice for Octavia!
There were loud chants and tears shed in remembrance of Octavia Redmond. On Friday, the 48-year-old was delivering mail in the West Pullman neighborhood when she was killed.
We have lost a sweetheart sister and a friend.
All women.
A well-respected auntie, a super cool cousin, a proud postal letter carrier, nearly 20 years of service.
Octavia did not make that last delivery, y'all. The last delivery that President Foster talks about daily, the last most important delivery, that delivery home. She did not make it.
Mac Julian highlights that the recent surge in crime hasn't been met with appropriate resources to effectively address the growing issue. Letter carriers are demanding enhanced protection and improved public safety during their delivery routes, such as bringing back postal police officers to patrol alongside them in the streets.
We don't feel safe going to work to do our jobs. We're letter carriers. We're serving the public, and we can't be safe.
We're dealing with crazy people out there. We're dealing with all type of situations, and we just want to know who is out there to protect us.
Nobody. Shot spotter is gone. They removed the postal police in order to cut the budget so that they could start to fund these initiatives that have to do with migrants in these sanctuary cities. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Hey, how many of your public servants, because if they start to hit up some of these Congress members, God forbid, or they start to hit up some of these legislators or these mayors or these councilmen, then they're going to start to get the attention of the people. But when it's the person that's serving the public, that's making sure that your checks get there, that make sure that your mail get there, that make sure your Amazon packages get there, they don't have no respect for y'all. And so they're not trying to protect y'all. Protect yourself. Even though you work for the federal government, protect yourself. That's what's happening over in Illinois, and I'm going to stay on top of that. And then last but not least, 7 armed robberies happened in 1 hour in Chicago, and this is an example of the type of things that y'all have to deal with inside of some of y'all neighborhoods.
Chicago police are asking for the public to help identify suspects in an armed robbery spree. On June 26th, these 3 men committed 7 armed robberies in the span of an hour, beginning just before 5 a.m. They all took place in Southwest and near West Side neighborhoods. In each of them, the men pulled up in a stolen silver Hyundai Sonata, threatened the victims with handguns, and then took their property. One victim was also pistol whipped. Anybody with information, you are asked to please call police.
5 a.m. in the morning. They're waking up early in the morning. Early in the morning to get on their job. Go and steal them a Hyundai Sonata. Get out there and start pistol whipping people. And they did 7. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. But at least 7 armed robberies that they know of in broad daylight with no regard for trying to get caught by the police at all. They was cool. They was chilling. They took their time. You see them in the video. They moving slow. They pistol whipping people, beating them in the head. People that's getting up early in the morning to go and take care of business. I know somebody in Chicago. I was talking to my homegirl in Chicago. She said, listen, Anton, I don't even go jogging in the morning no more in the summertime. She said, we are prisoners in our own home, hoping and praying that somebody can come and save us because we can't even afford to leave the place that we were born at, and it's getting worse every single day. Every single day is getting worse. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your Quick Hits.